Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Taking a good look, this is one of my favorite Omega watches. I was there at Basel World in 2016 when it launched. 41 millimeters with tungsten bezel and steel case. This is the Omega Constellation Globemaster Annual Calendar, a modern-day pie-pan dial constellation. It's an all-arounder, more water-resistant, better loomed, and sportier than you might think at first glance. So it's 41 millimeters in diameter, 14.9 millimeters thick. From lug to lug, it's 50 millimeters. It has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference, and it wears well. It's definitely bigger than the standard 39 millimeter Globemaster, but as you can see, it's fairly short across the wrist. So even if your wrist is 15 centimeters in circumference, you're going to find it wears well, and it's fairly flat, all things considered. Taking a quick look at the strap, it is a light brown, large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss finish, some bolstering. We have a folded edge, a lightly contrasting sort of patina style stitch, and on the underside you can see calfskin. It is a brand new Omega factory strap. We have a buckle here with a combination of polish and satin, a long running piece with Omega. We have a little chassis underneath into which you can actually tuck and buckle the straps. When it's closed, you don't see the excess length, and there are no minder loops to mar the strap. You can also see that it is a twin trigger release buckle, so you need to press both to open it up, so it won't open by accident. That's one of the sporty elements of the watch. The lugs are integrated. You can see there's a lovely little bevel that runs the length of the case. The lug hoods are satinated, so is the case flank. The bezel is made of tungsten, incredibly dense, incredibly hard and scratch resistant, and I should also mention, different in tone than the steel of the case. The steel of the case is white. The bezel is a lovely gray, almost like tantalum. And while it is fluted, it's not the broad fluting that you find on gold bezels at Rolex. This is almost more like a coined profile. Now, the watch does have a push-down crown, so it's not a screw-down, but it is still remarkably 100 meters water resistant, so you can absolutely swim with this watch. Now on the dial we have a silver opaline. It's a sort of matte white silver. You can see the faceting that refers to the pie-pan dial constellations of the 1950s. Now the dressiest aspect of this watch is actually the font used for the months. It's an annual calendar. You have a little pointer for the month, and then you have a window for the date. So the watch only needs to be adjusted once a year during the jump from February to March. Turn the crown in an intermediate position, and in a clockwise direction you jump the date. In a counterclockwise position, you jump the month. Pull it out all the way, hacking or stop seconds. And again, remarkably, for a watch that is ostensibly a dress model, there's a lot of lume, and it's easy to see. The hands, as well as the Omega logo marquee and the indices, all blued, and the indices are applique for an upscale look. Flip it all over, you can see the image of the stars and the observatory, reminding you that back in the early 50s, the Constellation was an observatory chronometer. Now, the movement inside is very modern, caliber 8922, co-axial escapement, master chronometer, so it meets all the ISO 3159 chronometer specs that a COSC chronometer would have to face, but then Omega goes beyond, testing the watch in 6 positions for chronometric precision, but also winding efficiency, power reserve, water resistance, shock resistance, and anti-magnetism. This watch is over 15,000 Gauss anti-magnetic, which effectively makes it amagnetic by modern watchmaking standards. 25,200 vibration per hour beat rate. That's due to the use of a silicon hairspring, again for anti-magnetism. We have a full balance bridge with a free sprung index. So the watch is quite shock tolerant as well, and it uses the tri-level coaxial, which is the latest version of the George Daniels devised direct and indirect tangential contact impulsing system that he calls the coaxial escapement that Omega has been perfecting since 1999. Now the watch pivots on 39 jewels, and as you can see, it has a Côte de Genève in arabesque spiral with both black polished and blackened screws. So the look of it, though machine finished, is handsome and fairly unique. It's a 60-hour power reserve. It has twin mainspring barrels, so that rather than having a big drop in amplitude and mainspring torque after 24 hours, which is what you get with a single mainspring barrel, the two barrels are phased better so that you don't see that big drop off in amplitude after, for example, 24 or 36 hours. So reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this Constellation Globemaster Annual Calendar.